Now, let's talk about the state of Massachusetts. The Senate of that state has passed a bill raising the concept of mothers and fathers from birth certificates, replacing them instead with person who gave birth and other parent. That's nice. The advocates for this plan argue this promotes legal parentage equality. The bill will soon be finalised and sent to the governor for approval, James.
Well, Rita, I really can't believe how alt-right and fascist this Massachusetts bill is because, they are totally erasing every parent who identifies as a cat or an otter or an octopus by saying the person who gave birth. What is happening here in the once woke state of Massachusetts? No, seriously, Rita, this is one of these things that is designed, I think it is an absolute attack on the family. It's an attack on the concepts of motherhood and fatherhood, which are both crucial to parenting and to children. And it's like, we're trying to shrink the number of things that we're allowed to say. It's something straight out of George Orwell. This is exactly what the newspeak was in 1984 that he warned against. But of course, these people think 1984 was an instruction manual.
And they're following it very closely indeed.
Yes.
You are so right about that. Let's talk about Kamala, because this is also Orwellian. We're being told she's this great, moderate, safe pair of hands, popular, visionary leader. But here she is in 2019, not that long ago, talking about wanting illegal immigrants to be put on the path to citizenship. It seems like she thinks that's the solution to the illegal immigration crisis.
The idea that we would have a president of the United States that vilifies immigrants, that wants to build what I call his vanity project, a multi-billion-dollar wall, which, by the way, will never get built, is un-American. Deal with the problem. We have 11 million people here who need a pathway to citizenship. Be a leader on that, but we're not going to get that out of this president.
Will this come back to haunt her? Because it's all well and good for these videos to be unearthed, some of them even more recent, some of them from 6 months ago. But if the media isn't going to highlight it, if they're going to run these bogus fact checks saying, no, this isn't her position, she's now pro-fracking, she's pro-safe borders, she's pro-economic prosperity, how are the American people going to make a decision that's based on facts?
Yeah, well, I mean, we know that Kamala Harris has a long record of hard-left progressive ideology. We also know that, frankly, she's not all that bright. So we don't actually know how much she actually thought through this, whether it's just she went with sort of the vibe of the time and what the Democrats were saying. Either way, at the moment, though, as long as the media isn't giving her the scrutiny for this and so many other things, including they should give illegal immigrants health care. She was Attorney General in California when they decided to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses, which is absolutely insane to me. I don't know how that works. Until there's some media scrutiny, no one's going to know. She's going to be this blank slate that everybody can project their own sort of idea of, well, this is what I think progress should look like, and then they throw it on her. But it's also up to Donald Trump, I think, to really start to refocus his attacks, because he had all of the attacks on Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, all of that's out the window. He's gone. And now he's got to start really focusing hard on Kamala Harris, the border, the economy, crime, these things, because right now, at the moment, the left is kind of getting to define the terms of what people are talking about. That's dangerous for him.
And I think they've got to get away from focusing so much on whether she's Indian, whether she's black, all those sorts of games, and actually get to the issues of substance. And what matters is her track record, and it's shocking. And there's so much material for them to work with. They don't have to really try very hard to show the American people just how radically left she is. And I don't know, they seem to be preoccupied by a few trivial things at the moment. Now, this isn't trivial. Fox News has obtained more footage from the Trump near assassination from one of the supporters there who was shot. It clearly shows the shooter moving about on the roof minutes before he opened fire. James, we know the director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, has stepped down in disgrace, but that's not enough. That can't be the end of this matter. The media and the Democrats want to memory hold this attempted assassination, but there needs to be some accountability for the failures on that day. I mean, when you look at that footage, it is beyond belief that he was allowed to take those shots and kill a man and also almost kill President Trump.
And it's just amazing how you think that we were maybe a half an inch away from American history being a very different thing right now, and America being a very different place right now, because, we watched it, Rita. We saw it happen that Sunday morning here in Australia. It's just shocking. And I also don't think that just mere resignations are enough here, because there needs to be a really full, deep inquiry. That vision is just unreal. How is it that the Secret Service let the president, the former president, the possible future president up on that stage when they knew that there was somebody running around with a rangefinder, possibly a gun, and they let him out on that stage? How is that even possible? And then to see that vision where, we know from other shots that there were snipers on the roof behind Trump. They didn't see this figure running around on the roof across the way. I mean, it's not just about getting Kim Cheadle to resign. It's not just about Mayorkas even resigning or anybody like that. This is about finding out the real dereliction of duty that happened here and why.
And we know the Trump campaign wanted extra resources. They were denied that. Since the attempted assassination, the Secret Service has advised the Trump campaign not to hold these outdoor rallies. To me, that's borderline election interference. That's how Trump campaigns. How can you ask him to change how he campaigns because you're not competent enough to protect him?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly right. I mean, that really does feel like they're putting the thumbs on the scale and saying, your big asset is your ability to speak to huge arenas, huge crowds, and we don't want you to do that anymore. Well, I'm sorry. He's the candidate. You figure out how to protect him. I mean, this is like saying, she was wearing a short skirt. She deserved it. This is, really just a real dereliction of their duties to protect everybody. And one of the interesting things is I think we're going to see bipartisan consensus on this, too, because we saw during those hearings with Kimberly Cheadle, who's the now resigned head of the Secret Service, how many Democrat lawmakers were also furious, because they all know that everybody's in jeopardy. It's not just Trump from some mad person out there for whatever reason. They rely on this agency being as absolutely world-class competent as it can be. They're not getting it, and democracy in America depends on it.
Absolutely. Now, Donald Trump has appeared at a panel event held by the National Association of Black Journalists, where he was quizzed on all sorts of issues in a very hostile manner, I might add. And one of the discussion points, naturally, was January 6th.
Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But, sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to
rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
James, that answer is going to outrage the Trump haters, but it's precisely what Republicans want to hear. Are you surprised that he showed up to this event in Chicago? He would have known he wasn't going to get an easy go there.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is who didn't show up there, Rita, and that was Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has been in absolute witness protection, or I should say witless protection, really, given who we're talking about here. And I think that good on Donald Trump. Whatever you think of his answers, he said some fairly contentious things. I think he said some deliberately provocative things, which are going to play out in some interesting ways over the next few days and weeks. But, you know, he has never shied away from sitting down with hostile journos, hostile press. Kamala Harris, though, the press is going to have a lot of questions to ask her. They should. Otherwise, we're going to see another situation like where it was with Joe Biden for the first years of his administration, when basically, you know, the press gave him cover. They were treated like garbage by the Biden White House, you know, fed absolute, you know, scraps and so on, and told to, you know, go write that essentially, but don't, you know, ask anything with scrutiny, because again, it's like this thing, well, we don't want to, you know, help Donald Trump out, so we're going to be really easy on the Democrat. I fear that's the pattern that we're falling into again, Rita.
That's right, and Kamala is going to make an appearance, but it'll be via Zoom, which Trump wasn't allowed to do, so he was upset about that as well. James Morrow, thank you for your time this evening. I'll see you Sunday morning for Outsiders.
See you Sunday, Rita.